We're back with another one of our how to fix this unit type videos. We have a overpowered unit that is consistently overpowered and people constantly complain about. We have a underpowered unit that is always underpowered and people complain about it. And then we have a meh unit, a unit that isn't really under or overpowered, just isn't used. And we're going to theorize how to make them all more viable, you know, more mid-tier rather than bottom or top or something like that, without just doing something boring like cost increase or decreases. So first up is going to be OP, overpowered, the Skaven Poison Wind Globes. These things have been complained about for a long time, as far back as Warhammer 2, back when they had significant damage over time. Well, not significant, but a decent amount of damage over time. Here we can see we throw at an elemental bear, and our globes got 100 value. Not too great, but when you attack infantry, like Kizilvite warriors, you get some solid damage out, and you do have poison wind damage over time. But really, you can see though those ticks aren't doing that much damage. Like, look at its HP. One tick goes by, it loses about 60 HP. And its tick rate is incredibly slow. We'll check again with the Griffin Legion, but I do want to get another volley out. Now we're shooting at the Griffin Legion. Wait for the whole volley to be done, and turn around. So again, look at the ticks. We have 10 seconds left, right? One tick. Two ticks. Two ticks. 2 ticks of damage in 10 seconds of ability time is just abysmal. That's pretty terrible as far as the damage over time goes. But like, I said they're OP, so I'm complaining about their tick damage now being pathetically low and terrible. But it's their burst damage that's insane. In one volley, these guys took half HP off of a heavy cav unit. And in one volley, these guys took half HP off a Kizilvite warrior. Pretty much, if it's not a single entity, Poison Wind Globes can half HP anything in one volley. And that's just not how this unit is supposed to work, right? It's supposed to unleash this gas that kills you over time. Not like hours and hours, but, you know, not... The globe explodes, it does like grenade level damage, and then the gas doesn't do anything. That's just wrong. And also, honestly, Poison Wind Globe should not do that much damage at all to armored heavy cav. You're higher up, so you should be out of the gas theoretically, and you have way less models. There's less units that are breathing in that gas and taking damage. But like, just the glass globes hitting the horsemen takes half their HP, and that's pretty ridiculous. So to rework this unit, I would want it to be pretty much purely an infantry killer, and it can kill any infantry, you know, like that's fine. You know, it can kill the most elite or the most low-level infantry, but I think it should do almost no damage to cavalry and literally no damage to giant monsters. So I would make their grenade damage do next to 0 damage, and then I would have them have damage over time, ramp that way up, but have it be more like Fate of Buna. Not for the damage level. Obviously, I'm not saying like when these guys hit something, it should be like Fate of Buna. But Fate of Buna, as opposed to Spirit Leech, like the more models you have, the more damage it does up to a cap. I would remove that cap, so it's just like flat out the more models you have, the more damage this does. But have it be most effective when something has 50 models or more. And that should make them pretty bad against cavalry, and it should make them much better against large amounts of infantry, especially infantry with high model counts for a lot of people to breathe in that poison. And I think that would be a lot better. Now, people in Warhammer 2 used to kind of hate that sort of system. It never scaled like that, but it did just, if one Globadier was still alive and threw a grenade, it would tick that damage. And people were annoyed by that, but I feel like ultra unit scale, that wouldn't be as bad. And especially if we ramp it towards the more models you have. If you have tattered units in the late game, the globes are going to do almost no damage, and the globes can't hit that one globe on your elite cavalry and do a ton of damage like they did in Warhammer 2, because your elite cav has less models. So they'll take decent ticks if they're at full HP, but if they're at half or under or something, they'll have lost models, so they won't take much damage. I think that'd be a better way to make the globes not so overpowered. And then I would leave death globes, the purple ones, exactly how they currently are. So then you have a differentiation between the two. Death globes are like, this poison is so deadly, they are like grenades. As soon as it hits you, you instantly die. Whereas the green ones, they're cheaper. They have this damage over time thing, but they're less good than their purple counterparts. Because right now, there's just no reason to take the purples when every volley takes half HP off anything. The death globes are like, we take 2/3 HP. Okay, cool. Or I could just fire a second volley and kill the unit. So, eh. All right, then for our bad, terrible garbage, we have Ulrika Maggadiva. So Ulrika is like this campaign hero that goes along with Gotrek and Felix, and I know she's supposed to be just cool, but in multiplayer she sucks horribly bad. She's terrible. And I don't really know why she is a spellcaster. So again, the easiest way to make her meta would just be reduce her cost, because her price point is insane. Almost 3,000 gold for a horse caster duelist with non-armor piercing. That's just not gonna work at all ever, and her HP pool is too low. So 3,000 gold just to get instantly one shot by like a spell and a charge from a big monster is pretty pointless. But in the lore, even when she becomes a vampire, she's not that good of a caster. Like, she has some basic level magic. So I don't know. I would give her a hybrid lore of magic between shadows and the lore of vampires, and give her like Curse of Years, Invocation of Hex, so she can heal herself, but she's not going to be on a roster that has other undead units, so it won't be overpowered. And then, I don't know, maybe Gaze of Nagash, maybe. And then like 3 of the Shadows ones. Or you can keep her a pure Shadows caster, that's fine. But I do think the hybrid would make her a little more interesting. And then I would just get rid of the Blood Shard entirely. I don't know why Ulrika has Spell Mastery. She's a middling or bad caster who's just figuring it out as she became a vampire. I have no idea why she has magic buffs. You should skip that. Then we have Silver Daggers, which gives magic attacks for her melee. Okay, cool. Then we have Dancing Blade, which gives more melee stats. And then you have Skeldur's Fall, which is helping her shoot well. There's just too much going on here. Why does she have spell buffs, melee buffs, and ranged buffs, but her ranged is non-armor piercing, not high damage? Her melee is pretty pathetic because she has non-armor piercing melee. Her stats are okay, but her HP is incredibly low, and her armor is pretty low. And then her spell casting, I guess it's okay, but she has no arcane conduit or anything, so you're getting spell mastery, but your Winds of Magic generation is so pathetic that it's going to take her forever to get there. And then she has the spell effect is increased by kills, which she can't get without the spells, because she's kind of a duelist, kind of a kite unit, but she's not going to get kills quickly, so you have to slowly generate Winds of Magic to cast Pit of Shades or Pendulum or something to get kills, to then hopefully get enough Winds of Magic to again cast Pit of Shades or Pendulum. It's just all over the damn place. So how to make Ulrika better is cut some of these abilities. And I know it's weird to just say just cut abilities, but you can make her a lot cheaper if you don't have to balance around so many avenues she could go down. So just cut Blood Shard. Shit's terrible for her kit. Cut down her cost by a lot when you're not worrying about her becoming an overpowered caster. I would cut Buy Our Blood. She already has the hunger, so I don't really see the point in that. And she is undead. So again, it's cute that you gave her Buy Our Blood, but it's just another ability you have to try and bounce around. So cut Buy Our Blood. You already have the hunger. She's already undead. She's not breaking, so who gives a shit? And then let's really tunnel in on her being a melee duelist first, and she can have the ranged attack just on her kit. That's fine, but I would also cut Skeldur's Fall. Again, it's like, this is cute, but you're also balancing around it, and there's too much going on. So I would cut 3 of her things, so this unit card gets a lot more cleaned up, and then you have less to balance around. And then I would significantly buff her dueling potential, because if you're going to have her be this squishy, low-health duelist, she needs to at least be dangerous in melee, and she's just not. So we can keep Dancing Blade, we can keep Silver Dagger how they are. They're fine abilities, honestly. We would just need one more. So for cutting these 3 things, Buy Our Blood, Blood Shard, and Skeldur's Fall, give her like Rage of Ursun or something, and give her an ability that gives her significant armor piercing for a short duration. So you could give her like, I mean, she has almost 50-50 stats, so give her something that gives her like 100% more armor piercing damage, just the armor piercing, not the base. And then it's like when she pops this, she goes into like this Zen fighting mode, and she can like get past people's armor and stuff, like stick her dagger through their helmet visor or something, if you want to go with a lore explanation. But like, give her another ability that makes her a better horse duelist, and then it's like, okay, she's kind of got some range, she's kind of got some spells, but she's mostly about fighting people in melee, which is what she was mostly about in the books. And it's even when she was a vampire, she was still really good at melee, and it's like, it gives her something to do. Because like, an alternate you can do is go down the avenue of making her a better caster or making her a better ranged combatant. I would argue just go with melee, because I think it fits her character the best. But like, this whole... the idea is jack of all trades, but honestly, she's an 8 of all suits. It's like, you're an 8 of clubs, you're an 8 of diamonds, you're an 8 of hearts. okay, what's the point? Non-armor piercing ranged, that's pretty fucking bad. Non-armor piercing melee with low HP, that's also pretty fucking bad. Spell mastery, that scales off kills, but then you have no way to generate winds of magic. Okay, that's also pretty fucking bad. So I don't know. I would just make her a duelist with the other two stuff as like fun little add-ons, but not things you're focusing your character around. And that could make her significantly cheaper and give her more of an identity on the battlefield. And the last up is the meh. And I do try and make these thematic. Like, I know we had Poison Wind Globes, but I couldn't find 3 Kislev units. I couldn't find a Kislev unit that's currently OP. So for meh, we have Boris Ursus. He's actually not bad right now. There's just not a lot of reason to take him because of decisions that were made. And I don't want to just constantly complain about CA. But they made the Frostworm. The Frostworm was like the worst unit in the entire game. I made a video about it. They buffed it. That's great. I'm glad it's no longer garbage. It's now strong. I wouldn't even say it's overpowered, but it's strong. They gave it armor piercing anti-large, crazy high mass, tankiness, and all these things. And now you can take a caster lord and put it on an armor piercing duelist. And it's like, okay, so let's make a real thing. Death Frost is fine. Keep the ice armor. You want the arcing conduit, and you want the kitty cat. So you can have an armor piercing anti-large duelist with a high HP pool who has 2,000 more health than Boris Ursus for 200 gold less. And maybe you can cut down some of his stuff, make him less good of a duelist. I'll cut stand your ground. So now they're equivalent, but the Ice Witch has worse stats in every capacity, sure, for sure. But she also has Frostbite where Boris has Frostbite. She has 2,000 more HP, and she's a goddamn caster. So for Boris, you're going to have to bring a caster, which adds more cost on top of it. So one way, which is not the spirit of this video, but I am just throwing it out there, make the Frostworm not anti-large and at least give Boris a reason to exist. Like, he's your monster killer, not have a monster that can also duel okay against monsters. But focusing in on Boris and not trying to change the rest of the roster, Boris just needs a cost reduction, and that sucks because I said I'm not going to do that in this video, but it would be the easiest way to do it. Just make him not so goddamn expensive so you can invest in taking a monster killer on your roster. But if we accept the challenge that I can't say just reduces cost. Oh crap. Okay. Heroic Resilience, Armor of Ursun. As he gets lower, he gets more melee attack, melee defense, and leadership. I don't hate that, so we'll leave those two abilities as they are. Everybody and their grandmother is getting Colossal Strike right now. That's also fine. Standard Gown, Foe Seeker, and Shardblade. Okay, so those are what I have to play around with. We're leaving everything else the same here, because those are all fine. Colossal Strike synergizes with what he's supposed to be doing with his kit, so I'm fine with it. Here's my problem. He is doing too much generaling, where he is like half general, half armor-piercing large duelist, and there's better generals that exist on this roster, and they're also casters, so knock it off. I would cut Foe Seeker and Stand Your Ground, and I would cut Shardblade. Shardblade is one of the things that does make him unique, because it kind of does decent damage to infantry or cavalry surrounding him, but so do spells, and I feel like it's kind of been outdated. So let's cut Shardblade too. So he has really good dueling stats, and I think after that what we need to do is make it easier for him to get into a fight. So I would give him an ability he can pop, like let's keep the name Shardblade, but instead of the mild damage around him, I would give him Tormentor's Sword. You know that one where it's a circle around you, you net stuff and minus 24 melee attack. I would do Shardblade is what it's called, and it's the same range, it's the same net duration, but instead of minus 24 melee attack, I would have like minus 50 armor, because, and here's where I'm going with this, is he can now pair up with Griffin Legion or Winged Lancers and do these really cool charges where you net the enemy so you get a free charge on them, and then you reduce their armor so your non-armor piercing elite cav can smack them and do some good damage. So that would be really good, and it's a net, which he needs as an anti-large duelist, because a lot of stuff that doesn't want to duel him just kind of walks away and he gets stuck in infantry, because bears have a decent mass, but he can't push through infantry that quickly. So that would help him get the fights he wants to get, and also assist some stuff better than, I don't know, Stand Your Ground, which is not going to help Winged Lancers and stuff at all. Anyway, for these other two, he also, I know it's overly abundant in the game, I get that, but he needs healing. His HP pool is just too small. So you could give him Instead of Foe Seeker and Stand Your Ground, just cut those and give him like literally health potion from campaign. Just a single use heal, or you could steal it from Corn, the potion of toughness, but either way, just give him a single use heal so the player can decide whether it's more worth it to let him get low and get his extra melee stats, or if it's more worth it to heal him in the moment. Because you could also like play with that a bit, you know, as he's getting lower, you're like holding on to your health potion because you don't want to pop it just yet. Something like that. But yeah, I think if Shardblade was a net plus an armor reduction, and then he gets some sort of single use healing item, definitely make it an item, definitely make it single use. Don't give him slow regen. There's too much of that in the game, but single use healing items honestly aren't that common that are in the player's control. So that could make Boris more unique, could make him worth taking, and help out a little bit. I would hope that if you're changing Shardblade, I wouldn't say buffing or nerfing it, because that damage is pretty solid and does 50% speed reduction. The net and armor reduction is better, sure, but it's already 200 gold, so that new item's probably going to be 200 gold. And then cutting Foe Seeker and Stand Your Ground for one health potion, that's probably going to be 150 gold. I would hope that they would overall reduce his price point so that, you know, he can also be affordable. Because currently it's like, well, if you want to heal him, you have to take a Patriarch. If you want a caster, because you don't have a caster lord, you have to take a caster. And even if you cut these guys down, I'm just going to half-ass this really quick to show what I'm talking about. To take the healing one, heal, and then a horse or something. It's like, I mean, you're paying 1,600 gold tax just to have what Boris needs to succeed in the battle, and that's just not viable when you could get all of it on a monstrous Frostworm for less than Boris is. Anyway, hopefully this was interesting for you to hear, and maybe CA will watch it and decide it was a cool idea. Goodbye.
Subscribe, yes, yes.